Greetings, and welcome back to another episode of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the show where I, the curator, discuss my personal favorite show of all time, personal favorite franchise of all time, Doctor Who. And today we will continue our theme for the month of honoring our dear departed friend, Ben Rayner, with the mother of all honoring of departures of friends and companions, a tier ranking, I should say, of every single Doctor Who companion. And to do that with me is my good friend and constant companion, as well as constant companion to our good mutual friend, Ben, the wonderful Mr. Soda. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
So this is the first time you've seen my new intro, is it? Is it not?
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah. That is the one of the last things I showed Ben. I debuted
nice.
it on the last show, rather the last recording of this show that I did with him back last month.
Very nice. Yeah, I like
the penultimate show I did with him together.
It's a very good riff on the Doctor Who theme song. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's the same music. It's just I used images of all the Doctors, but this time something that I noticed is for a lot of the Doctors last time I used clips from their first season.
Yeah.
This time I used clips from their second seasons, the ones that had a second season.
Well, very nice.
Yeah. Now, before obviously we get down to the main business of things, the birthday section, obviously, as we do every episode of this show, we've got a pretty interesting one. We've got no less than 2 doctors on today's list, as well as a couple of, several behind the camera people, which it's not often that I get to have a lot of these. So I'm actually really pleased with how the list turned out. Now, once again, unfortunately, because of certain things that have happened at the very end of last month that really delayed a lot of the videos on this channel, including this show, we are still not 100% up to date with all the birthdays. So we're still counting down the birthdays from the week before today, from the 17th all the way to the 23rd. We're still not quite caught up to the usual birthdays, but we'll get there eventually. It may take us a little over a month, but we'll get there. So from the 17th to the 23rd, on the 17th, we have Mr. Malcolm Clark, person right here. He did the incidental music for several episodes, including The Sea Devils, Earthshock, Enlightenment, Resurrection of the Daleks, The Twin Dilemma, Attack of the Cybermen, and The Trial of a Time Lord, Terror of the Vervoids. Now, on the 18th, we have a very special person. This guy, whose name is Donald Beverstock. Can you tell me what his connection to Doctor Who is, Mr. Soda?
I would assume he's a writer from the early days.
You would be incorrect in assuming that. This guy, listen to this, he was the controller of programs for BBC One in the early 60s, and he's the one that commissioned Sidney Newman to create a new Saturday evening series for the channel at the time, which eventually became Doctor Who.
Right. I remember isn't it in An Adventure in Space and Time?
Well, I don't think we see this guy specifically.
Okay.
But that's really the conception of the show. So
okay.
in a way, you could say that if Sidney Newman and Verity Lambert are the mother and father of Doctor Who, he's basically the grandfather of Doctor Who, which is pretty interesting. Very interesting indeed. And on the 18th, same day, is Mr. Christopher H. Bidmead. always trip on the names. It's Bidmead. He was the script editor for Tom Baker's final season,
Oh,
as well as a writer of Logopolis, Castrovalva, Frontius, and two Big Finish episodes, Renaissance of the Daleks and The Hollows of Time.
gotcha. So he knows his stuff.
Yeah, he definitely knows his stuff. On the 19th of January, we have Mr. Michael Jackson.
I know it's
This Michael Jackson,
I
to be
know it's not.
specific.
I know
This,
it's not him.
yeah, this Michael Jackson. I'm not gonna lie. I literally only put this guy on here to see if I can trip you up.
Oh God.
Serious. Okay, so yeah, he plays Sir Joffrey in the King's Demons. Very forgettable episode, but I just really wanted to trip you up with that one. Now on the
Nice.
20th, we have Mr. Henry Wolf. As seen in this picture, he played the greedy, sniveling collector in The Sunmakers, an episode that I actually like a little bit more than most people. But yeah, I just really kind of like his character. It might be a little inappropriate today, but it's one of those things where you have to see it to understand why I like it so much. But also on the 20th, his co-star from that episode, the man, the myth, the living legend, Mr. Tom Baker.
Oh, very nice.
The Fourth Doctor. The reason I'm wearing his scarf, the person who originated this name, sort of.
Yeah, the 92, I believe, is what I read.
I think so. 89. Sorry.
Oh,
89.
Still.
But still, I mean, looking good.
Yeah, he is a Time Lord.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's ageless.
Yeah,
very much ageless. And on the 21st, we have Miss Sarah Dollard. She's a writer. She wrote Face the Raven and Thin Ice.
okay.
And not gonna lie, the only reason she's on this list is because she wrote the episode where Clara Oswald dies.
Yes.
Now, if only her vision for that character could have stayed that way before Stephen Moffat came in and ruined it all. But we're not going to get into that right now. On the 22nd, and we'll finish off with the 22nd, we've got several people. We have Miss Pamela Salem. She played several different roles on the TV show side of Doctor Who, including Zoanon, or Xenon, I never remember how to pronounce that. The evil computer guy from the Face of Evil with the face of Tom Baker.
Okay.
A character called Toos from the Robots of Death, but mainly she played a character called Rachel Jansen in Remembrance of the Daleks, a character that later came back in the Big Finish spin-off series Countermeasures, about the sort of response team in the early 1960s dealing with the stuff that the doctor wasn't around to deal with, and I'm pretty sure Unit wasn't around to deal with either.
Oh, wow.
And also on the 22nd, we have Mr. Tommy Knight, who played obviously Luke Smith, the adopted son of Sarah Jane Smith. Believe it or not, was born the same year that I did, just a couple of months early.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And obviously, unfortunately, his character was significantly decreased in later seasons because of his education, which, good for him. Yeah, but he also did resurface as that character in the wonderful webcast Farewell Sarah Jane Smith, where it was revealed that he's actually in a same-sex relationship with an analyst from Unit that Sarah Jane recommended to him it pushed him, I should say, to ask him out. Set them up, pretty much. And finally, on the 22nd, we have another legend that sadly is no longer with us. The one, the only, Mr. John Hurt.
Mm-hmm.
The War Doctor, the storyteller, the character from Big Brother, the Elephant Man, the Horned King. Like, I can sit here all day and list the list of credits that this guy has under his belt.
He's from Alien with the chest burster.
Yeah, from Alien also reprised it in Spaceballs. He was in V
Correct.
for Vendetta, obviously. He was in everything.
He was a great actor. Like he was an
one of
actor's actor.
one of the greatest actors who ever lived.
Yeah.
Actually, believe it or not, one of the last few roles I believe he did was on Big Finish as the Invisible Man.
Oh,
yeah. So haven't listened to that one yet, but knowing he's attached to it, I'm definitely putting that up on my list. Eventually, once I get down
nice.
with all the thousands and thousands of Doctor Who stories there's on their own Big Finish. But
Hmm.
the wonderful list of people we had today. Thank you all. We quite literally could not do this without you. In a way, this goes especially for this guy right here.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, some of the people that I listed on that I put on the list right now are no longer with us, but that is kind of the main theme of this show right now, isn't it? So, as per usual, this is our first tier ranking list of the year so far. Would you believe that? Now, obviously, the first of several. Here is the chart right here.
Yahoo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, believe it or not, that's not that many. It's really not that many. And
are you doing two? Some of them are like I know there were some that happened in the same episode. Are you doing them together or separately?
Yeah, of course, of course, as it should be. Now,
no, which one is it? You're doing them separately or together?
No, if more than one companion left in the same departure, we're kind of counting them as the same.
Okay,
there are several instances of multiple departures in the same episode, but they're not technically considered the same departure.
Yeah, okay, because there was one that I was on the fence of, depending on what you had answered.
Which one was it?
I will tell you when we get to it. It's going to be early.
Oh, okay. And once again, because my computer likes to be a troll, and I had to restart everything, I completely lost the order of things. But I guess we'll do that as I'll reorder things as we go along, because obviously we got to talk about now. Before we go, in order to qualify for this list, there are several guidelines. The first and most important one is we're only counting the TV departures.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But the main reason for that is a lot of the Big Finish departures, there kind of aren't any images for them. So there's really not much I could have done with that, even if I did want to push that. I know that there's a lot of Big Finish ones I would have really liked to put on here. There's one in particular that I'm pretty confident Snark really would have wanted to see on here.
Nice.
But alas, that is really not the case. And also, in order to
qualify, another day.
Yeah. Don't give me any ideas. But also, another guideline in order to qualify for this list today is that the companion has, well, two of them actually. First of all, they have to have been a official companion, like gaining official companion status. So, as an example, the kids that traveled with the 11th Doctor and Clara, they don't count because they were sort of one-offs or supporting characters. There are several characters that I would count in that category that might qualify for this list. But me and Soda both agreed that we'll talk about whether or not we should include them once we actually get to that part of the episode. And finally, the final guideline that we need to go over here is, did these companions actually have a proper, true departure? Because a lot of the times, and you'll see this a lot with a lot of the unit crew, is that they didn't really have much of a departure. It's more of a case of they just didn't show up one day, and that was about it.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of these don't really have proper departures. Now, one character in particular, and you'll see
Mhm.
this as we get to it, one character in particular actually appears twice on this
Really?
list. You'll know exactly which one once we get to that character,
Okay.
but once we do, it'll make sense.
Okay.
I
I get
promise.
you.
Because it was just too iconic not to have both.
Okay.
But and with that final point, I finally finished organizing this stupid list, and now we have these 5 tiers. The S tier, of course, is "Goodbye, my dear," which is what the first Doctor said to Susan, his final words
Mhm.
to her before taking off. "Till we meet again," the final words that the fourth Doctor said to Sarah Jane Smith. "Don't forget me," is what she said to him, and he said it back to her decades later as the 10th Doctor in the wedding of Sarah
Oh.
Jane Smith. "It stopped being fun," an iconic line from Tegan in Resurrection of the Daleks, her departure episode. And "See ya," which is basically what the Ninth Doctor said to Adam Mitchell
Oh God.
right right after he basically kicked him out of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
So clearly that is the F tier. Now, should we get down to the first
Let's
finally?
do it.
And of course, as the first, we got to talk about the OG, as
Mhm.
the original, you might say. "During all the years I've been taking care of you, you in return have been taking care of me. Grandfather, I belong with you, not any longer, Susan. You're still my grandchild, and always will be, but now you're a woman, too. I want you to belong somewhere, and have roots of your own, and live normally as any woman should do. With David, I believe you'll be able to find those roots. Believe me, your future lies with David, and not with a silly old buffer like me. One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs, and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine. Goodbye, Susan. Goodbye, my dear." I'm sorry, I couldn't do it without the full speech.
That's perfectly okay. It's a really heartbreaking scene.
It's it
I,
brings me to tears every time.
well, of
But
course, yeah. Like I did watch the Who Culture video they recently did about on this topic, basically, and yeah. So seeing that scene with Susan and hearing about it, it's like, yeah, that's pretty rough. And then especially knowing that in TV canon, he never comes back. He never does come back.
yeah, and and people who watch this show regularly probably know this by now. I'm not the biggest fan of Susan,
Mm.
but this departure is S tier for me personally.
Yeah,
This is,
it's a good one. It's definitely gets you right here.
yeah, and it's not just because it's the first. Like,
Yeah,
it's because of the familiar connection that these two guys
exactly.
have.
Which makes it even harder. So I'm with you. I do agree. It is an S tier.
Yeah, it's
It's the one that set the bar.
pretty much, yeah, it's the gold, or as our good friend Ben used to say, the golf standard.
Yep.
Because autocorrect is a bitch.
That is true.
Now the second one, and I believe at this point these are kind of spoilers for you, but
That's fine. Not really, because I have read of them before. I may not remember them, but I know when I was really into it like a decade ago, I read up as much as I could. So
okay.
it's not really spoilers in a way. I just might not remember them.
Hey, if you don't remember, then that's better. That's
Yeah.
way better for this show. But we have Ian and Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
S tier companions. I don't think it's an S tier departure,
Mm-hmm.
and here's why. While their their confrontation with the Doctor about traveling back and essentially leaving him, that is really where you kind of start to see the beginnings of this idea that the Doctor does not enjoy saying goodbye. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something that really all the Doctors have exemplified in one way or another. Like the Doctor does not like to say goodbye. They don't like to say goodbye to their companions, even though their companions just can't go on anymore and can't
Yeah.
continue to travel.
There's a perfect example of that we'll get to in a couple of doctors.
Yeah, a couple doctors, not a couple entries.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: after that part, when they finally get into the Dalek spaceship and the time ship, I should say, and travel back to their own time, a couple of years out, but who cares? At least they're home. But then after that, it mainly transitions into a series of static pictures, just showing Ian and Barbara in random
Ugh.
Londony places instead of actually showing them showing actual video footage of them running around, because you see some certain pictures of them running through Trafalgar Square, scaring some pigeons away, having some fun, having some laugh. This would have
Mhm.
worked so much better if there was video of it.
Yeah,
Instead,
no
we're
kidding.
and it's not even a missing episode. The all 6 parts of the chase are all intact. I watched them recently, and
Yeah, that sounds pretty boring.
yeah, it is, and definitely not what these two characters deserve. I'll
Yeah,
say that.
totally.
But I'd say it's an A tier. Just the pictures thing is what keeps
Uh,
it from being an S.
yeah, it's if it anything, it would be the bottom of the A. Like understanding that, yeah, no,
Yeah,
bottom.
it's either bottom of the A or the top of the B. But
Yeah.
I don't.
We'll put it at the top of B, and then if we'll see. It could move up later, maybe.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. I mean, just hold on. Let me just put the image back up again. Just the happiness that these two guys show
Yeah,
when they finally reach the place, and Ian kisses Barbara on the cheek, of course, because they can't show two characters kissing. In this is the 1960s. We're not open. We're not
especially in
woke
1960s
yet.
Britain.
Yeah, but they're a traveling companion, and this I don't even think I sent you this departure because the BBC are all idiots and they threw out this 4-part serial, and there's literally no existing footage of this departure, but it's Vicky Pallister after arriving in Troy and being mistaken for the goddess Cressida. She eventually leaves right before the sacking of Troy after the Trojan horse arrives, because of course it's all based on historical events
Yep.
that really did actually happen. Of course, of course the doctor told Odysseus how to build the this giant wooden horse,
Hmm.
right? Of course, it's all real historical stuff, right? But anyways, she left right before the downfall of Troy and married Troilus, I think the third child of the leader of Troy. I think it was Troilus' name, the guy's name, but
Yeah.
she basically ended up living there for her whole life. And as seen recently, fairly recently, I should say, in the Storyteller
Mhm.
short video, which is basically just a trailer set up for the season 2 Blu-ray releases, which came out a couple of months ago. She's still there, and she has a grandchild who she regularly tells stories to about
Oh,
her
cool.
time with the Doctor. I highly recommend checking out the collection trailers, because they don't just do trailers for Blu-ray releases. They actually get the original actors and actresses back to reshoot a couple of scenes
Mhm.
for for extra lore. And they released one yesterday with Joe Grant, which
Oh,
we'll
very
get to
nice.
eventually. But unfortunately, as much as I love this character, I mean, the fact that the BBC threw this whole storyline out of the window, and even if they didn't, it wasn't really the best departure. It was kind of messy.
It's one of those ones, like I said, that I probably read, but I don't remember for the life of me because this
Yeah, well,
companion is not memorable
yeah, because
enough.
let me just set it up for you. It's like the Greeks are invading Troy. Everything is falling apart, burning.
Yeah,
People are dying. Stephen is wounded because, of course, he is. He has to be dragged back into the TARDIS with a handmaiden. Vicky doesn't even get a chance to say a proper goodbye to the Doctor. She just goes off and
yeah.
looks for this guy, and the Doctor just accepts it. It's a very messy thing.
Well, like I
So
said, it's not memorable. I don't remember it if I read about it. Like,
I mean,
so
I think based on the fact that she left out of romantic reasons, I'd say this doesn't really belong in the F tier, but it's definitely down.
I would have said see ya because, like I said, it's not memorable to me. Like I don't know, I don't remember it.
Yeah, it stopped being fun. Like
Okay,
she was a
and
really
in
good.
instances like that, I will defer to you because you obviously know the both story of the character's relationship with the doctor. So, because that is something that I find is important in determining what would go where.
Yeah, full disclosure, I was planning to have Raiko on here, so he would have had a bit of an interesting contrast with me. But you know, the guy's a very very busy man. What can I do?
Yeah,
If I could, I'd have him on every episode, but well, I can't.
what do you do?
Now, let me ask you this: did you actually watch this one? Did you have time to watch this one?
Could you tell me what it is?
It's Katarina. The
No, I did not have time to watch that one.
it's it's
I think
unfortunate.
there's like only two, maybe three that I didn't get time to watch.
Well, I mean, I as I told you, whatever you watch will be enough.
Yep, of
But
course.
basically, it's another one of those missing episodes. But weirdly enough, her actual death scene is one of the few rare clips from that missing episode that actually survived.
It looks really bad quality.
Well, I mean, this is from I think from one of the reconstructions.
And what happens here? Did she get lost in space?
Kinda, while trying to get away from the Daleks, they landed on this prison planet, and then they took off in their spaceship, their stolen spaceship, to get back on course to Earth, not knowing that one of the prisons on the prison planet was literally like a planet like Australia, where they just set instead of putting them in prisons on Earth, they just send them to this prison planet to live out the rest of their lives. One of them snuck on board their spaceship while they were trying to get away from the Daleks, and sort of forced them to grabbed Katarina and threatened to kill her if they don't take him back to the nearest planet, which happened to be the planet where the Daleks made their base at the time. He walked into the airlock, and like that was really his main bargaining chip. Is like, let me back, change course, or I'll throw this girl out the airlock. The doctor argued that they should go back to the planet so he could let her go, and then they can just leave him to the mercy of the Daleks. But the other guy with them, Brett Vian, refused to turn back because they had important information to send back to Earth. While they were arguing, Katerina struggled against the guy, and then she pressed the button that opened the airlock that sucked both of them out into space. So that they can continue on with the mission. She basically sacrificed herself to get rid of the other guy who was choking her, as well as so that they can continue to go on and bring the important information back to Earth. And while you're out looking for some DVD release to flex on me here.
No. I was just closing the window.
Oh, okay. Every time you get up, I think you're pulling one of those thousands of DVDs off the shelf.
No. But I do have something cool to show you that is supplemental to one of the later ones.
Okay. Something to look forward to. But where was I?
This one, I'm going to defer to you because I don't know anything about this one. But I will say, based on what you said and wanting to see how they would have done it back in the 1960s, I would have loved to have seen this serial if it was around.
Yeah, the problem is it's a 12-part serial, and about half of it is missing. So some of it exists, some of it doesn't.
That's harsh.
Yeah. But I will say this. Well, this is nothing to go off of, clearly. And I believe that's the reconstruction. That's not the actual thing that was in the original one back in 1965. However, the original thing of her floating through space gave inspiration to a really notable director. Can you guess which one that was?
Well, it depends. Like the one that immediately comes to mind. It's not Rian Johnson, is it?
I don't think Rian Johnson was even born back in 1960.
Because that's the first one that pops to mind for whatever reason. Is Princess Leia.
Okay, I can see where you're going with this, but no, It was none other than Mr. Stanley Kubrick.
Oh,
And that scene, while not impressive by today's standards, that was the scene that convinced him he could bring 2001: A Space Odyssey into the big screen.
oh, wow,
So
that's
we essentially have this scene to thank for that masterpiece of a movie.
that even makes it even worse that it's missing.
Yeah, good job, BBC.
Yeah, that's one of those things. If like the Doctor were real, I would go back to the 60s BBC and just like, guys, spoiler alert. This shit's gonna be big, so don't.
No, I mean, I don't think they would have listened to him either way.
Yeah, of course.
But again, because it's partially missing.
I'm gonna go in the middle. Yeah, I would say in the middle.
Below or above?
I would go above just because of it seems more. It seems cooler, I guess.
Yeah, and sadly, it was a tragic death, and also sadly, not the last, because in that same serial, we also get this.
Oh.
Just Sarah Kingdom trying to help a doctor walk back into the TARDIS with a time destructor that aged the entire planet into from a lush jungle to a barren desert. So powerful, in fact, that even the Daleks couldn't survive it.
Yeah, I was saying it looks like even she didn't.
Yeah, and during this whole time, she aged all the way into an old woman, then a skeleton, and then she just crumbled away into dust.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to put that one in the same tier as the last one because it's again, this whole episode just sounds phenomenal.
It's great. It's one of the best episodes ever, and they're not gonna. And this is coming from me again. So
yeah, well, I was gonna say, but like, if most of it's missing, then how does one know that? Like, how does one know what it's about? Is it because the script survived, or like?
No, there's reconstructions. Every missing episode has reconstructions.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like, because for some weird reason, only the video is gone. The audio survived, so they just had these static images that randomly appear whenever it's relevant to the plot of the episode.
Okay.
Overlaid over the. You know what? Best example. Watch the one I sent you for this later, and you'll get a better understanding of how these reconstructed episodes work.
And I will eventually get to them because I'm slowly doing my classic Who watch.
Finally got you to do one of these.
But this is another one. It sounds like it's going to be above Ian and Barbara for me because of the same reason. Just the episode sounds cool, so I want to keep it on par with the other one.
I think the epicness of the Daleks themselves turning to dust alongside this character.
Well, yeah, that's another one. It's like I want to see the special effects, right?
Which unfortunately you can't because it's the last episode of the 12-part serial and it's entirely missing.
Yeah, you fuckers.
Fucking BBC. But I will say this though, if you ignore the old age makeup here, the actress, that's Jean Marsh.
Oh,
yeah, we talked about her a couple of weeks ago. She was married to John Pertwee. She was the villain in Willow.
Yeah, Buff Morda. Is how you pronounce that? Yeah.
Yeah, if you say so. She also played Morgan Le Fay in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
In Sylvester McCoy's last season.
I did look her up. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Cool. All right, what's the next one?
The next one, we went from one of my favorite William Hartnell characters to one of my least favorite ones.
Seems like he had a lot of departures.
He also had a lot of companions, apparently. And this next one, in my opinion, and I know there are some people who like this character, but in my opinion, he's the most useless character in all of Doctor Who.
Oh?
Stephen Taylor. Yeah, in another missing episode, The Savages, after these this planet that's separated into two factions, there's these supposedly enlightened people who live in the city and the sort of lower class that live outside. After they finally settled their differences and decided to live together, the Doctor randomly out of the blue decided that they need someone to be a mediator between the two and just be a neutral leader to lead these two into a bright new future. And he thought Steven was the guy.
Ugh, he sounds like a bore. He sounds like a bore.
I don't know. I don't know why. And I'm sorry that I keep bringing this up, but Peter Purves really contributed a lot to Doctor Who, just beyond the character. Just the character itself, it wasn't really written very well, in my opinion. But how the Doctor decided that this guy is the right person for the job, I will never understand. But after even Steven himself didn't think he was up for it. And then after some contemplation, he's like, "Yeah, sure, yeah, I guess I'll do it." And they shook hands. He went off the other direction, and then the Doctor and Dodo just went back into the TARDIS. And I'm assuming that's what happens because, again, this moment right here, a little piece of it is still survived, but the rest of it is gone. So take a guess on how that looked. But
so it's going to be lower. So I'm going to again defer to you, but it's for me, it feels like it's a lower tier one.
Yeah, it feels like a C.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I really don't know what else to say.
All right. Is that Dodo next?
Unfortunately, yes. And this is another bottom of the list one. Did you actually see this one, by the way?
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, but well,
this one. The only thing like sticks out to this character for me from what I read is the name. I'm like, he had a companion named Dodo. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, short for Dorothea because
yeah,
that's a cool nickname, I guess. But so she gets brainwashed by an evil supercomputer, I guess the 60s, and the Doctor de-brainwashes her during the episode. She goes off with. She's sort of written out of the episode, out of the serial, fairly early on, and she doesn't appear until she doesn't really appear at all until the end of the serial, where Ben and Polly show up to tell the Doctor that she's decided to stay, and we don't even see her departure. It's one of the roughest companion departures. It almost feels like an afterthought.
It sounded promising, and then it went.
Yeah. So, should we put this one below or above Steven?
I'm gonna say above because, like I said, it started off promising.
And well, much better episode. I'll say that. That's all I'm gonna say. I haven't even gotten to. Well, I have already reviewed it for my channel, but I haven't uploaded it yet because I'm slowly going through the episode, uploading the episode. Gotcha. Now, this one is another reconstruction, but the one I sent you, I don't know if you saw it or not, but the one I sent you is from the animated reconstruction.
Okay, yeah, this is not one of the ones I did, but I had time to watch.
Oh, okay. Well, it's Ben and Polly. Basically, after solving a big conspiracy in an airport, a taxi sort of brings the Doctor and friends back to where they thought the TARDIS was. And this is really hard because you didn't see it, but during trying to get back to the TARDIS, they sort of realized that this was London, Earth, 1966, around the time that they accidentally left with the Doctor. And so, yeah. This whole time, the Doctor tried to bring them back home and failed because it's still very early days for the Doctor. He doesn't really know how to control TARDIS very well, but they sort of landed around the same time so they can go back to their lives. Like Ben was a sailor at the time. He needed to get back to the barracks, and Polly kind of had a job, which I don't know if she still had it after what happened in the previous episode, but. Yeah. That's beside the point. But yeah, I mean, it's fair. Even well, I don't know if it happened in the original, but in the animated one, Jamie even sheds a tear after they're leaving. They shake hands like good friends with him and the Doctor, and then they just walk away. And then I just love this image right here of the Doctor and Jamie go off to try and find the TARDIS again, and they just stop to look back. Before walking away again and into the taxi.
It sounds like it to me. I like the idea that they got to live their life happily, if that's the case.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Michael Craze passed away before Big Finish was a thing. But Annika Wills is still alive today, and she still continues to add more lore to her character as Polly,
Nice.
and she also plays the mother of Charlie Pollard, one of Snark's favorite Big Finish companions. So she's still
Nice.
contributing to Doctor Who today. She's magnificent. She wrote a novel.
Mhm.
She released artworks of all the Doctors at one. Well, up until Paul McGann, because that was the one where she did the thing. But Annika Wills, wonderful human being. But
Nice.
and something that I noticed during my rewatch of these seasons, a lot of the times she had top billing over the other male companions.
Interesting.
Yeah, depending on the episode, of course, but a lot of the times her name was
That's pretty
right below
progressive.
either William Hartnell or Patrick Troughton.
That's pretty progressive.
Yeah, that's big for the 60s.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't continue with the other female companion that replaced her, but at least they had that.
Yeah, no kidding.
But
Okay, but enough about the actress. Let's
so based on what I just explained, how I
yeah,
just explained
thank you,
it to
thank
you,
you. I would say it stopped being fun because it is one that I'm sure I've read or seen footage something of, but it didn't stick with me like some of the other ones of classic Who'd have. So I would say it stopped being fun. That's where I would put it. But again, I
uh,
defer to you.
yeah, I would raise you. And again, if it wasn't a missing episode, it would have been higher. But
Yeah.
I would probably put it somewhere around the Ian and Barbara area.
Okay. Okay. I like you said, I defer to you, but sure.
So you said you didn't watch any of the animated ones I sent you.
No.
So you
Unfortunately,
haven't watched.
I didn't have time. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So you haven't seen this one
No.
either, which is from Fury of the Deep, the debut of the Sonic Screwdriver, by the way.
No.
But yeah, after a 6-part adventure, the Victoria finally decided that she doesn't want to travel with the Doctor anymore, and she found these nice couple, the Harrises, Mr. and Mrs. Harris, and she asked if she could stay behind and essentially be adopted by these two Harris people, and they graciously accepted. And there's this really heartwarming scene of her and Jamie alone together, because at this point Jamie really started showing that he has feelings for Victoria, and he really takes it very, very hard when she decides to leave. This really long, in the animated version at least, there's this long extended scene where the Doctor and Jamie go on a rowboat to go back to the TARDIS, because the TARDIS, for some reason, is parked in the middle of the water somewhere, and she's just standing there on the beach waving to them for a couple of minutes before going back with the Harris couple. And the Doctor and Jamie continue to watch her from the TARDIS scanner screen. And when the Doctor finally decides that it's time to move on, he asks Jamie where he wants to go, and all he says is, "I couldn't care less." Like, he was heartbroken when
It
she left.
sounds very emotional.
It's very,
It is one that when you said the name, I'm like, okay, this is one I do remember reading, specifically like going out and seeking information on when I heard about her. But other than that, yeah, it sounds very heartbreaking.
yeah, especially for Jamie. Like,
Yeah,
Fraser Hines really acts the hell out of this because he was really very overprotective of her
yeah.
in
Even
a lot of the
his
episodes.
acting is definitely one of the reasons why he's one of the more memorable
Yeah,
companions.
that he's an S tier companion for a lot of people.
Yeah. All right.
But
So I would I would put it in the same spot as the other ones that we have put in that are similar.
I think this is our first A tier.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yeah, no, that sounds fair because like the way you describe the emotional impact and like the of the relationship between her and Jamie, it sounds like it's a pretty solid departure.
Yeah, it's one of those rare cases of two companions having feelings for each other when they're
Yeah.
not from the same time. They weren't introduced in the same episode. So that was, I think, was pretty big for Doctor Who at the time.
Mhm.
And speaking of Jamie, unfortunately,
Ugh.
we gotta talk about one of the saddest departures
Yeah.
ever. Did you see this one?
This is the one that I that was depending on how you did it. Because I watched the footage for sure, and I already knew about how Jamie ended. Sorry, not ended, but I knew how he departed. Whereas Zoe's is like she's a companion that I'm just like who. So that's why, like for me, his particular departure is S tier, whereas hers, I wouldn't rank it anywhere near that personally. So it would have brought Jamie down if you had included them together.
Yeah, but, I mean, it is still the same departure.
Yeah, the same
And,
episode.
yeah, it's the doctor's trial.
Yeah,
They find the Time Lords are like they've got to go. We'll take them back to their proper times. And it's like, and the doctor says his goodbye. And as soon as they enter the TARDIS, that's when the doctor turns to the other Time Lord and he's like, "They're gonna forget me, aren't they?"
Exactly.
Yeah,
Not totally.
It's like, what the fuck, Time Lords? Come on.
Yeah. Bullshit. It's bullshit. I have to say that's a bullshit thing to do.
The Time Lords are like the BBC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
They
suck. Time Lords. Like I texted you, Time Lords suck. So I would personally put it at the very top of A because unfortunately Zoe would have brought it down. But if we were just doing him alone, S tier for sure.
Yeah, and I love the scene of the doctor watching both of them on the.
Well, what makes it worse is how where he ends up, because he stands up and there's the soldier behind him and takes a shot and misses. And the last thing we see is Jamin going, "You tried to kill one of the clan."
Tried to kill a clan.
What happens to him, right? It's just like, oh my fucking Lord, does he die? So, yeah.
Well, I mean, of course he dies because he's from the 17th century.
In that moment, I mean, like, is that like, did the doctor grab him from like the moment before his death? You know what I mean?
No, because that would have been after he met the doctor. That moment.
Oh, okay. I thought
they brought them back to their proper time after the doctor had already left.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So I already went ahead and put it in A tier, and that was the last of the black and white ones. Now, unfortunately, this is the point where we get to the companions that didn't have a proper departure, starting, of course, with Liz Shaw. And this is going to be a recurring theme for some of the unit people. The last scene of her was her laughing at something the doctor did. I'm not going to spoil too much because it's a really long thing, but that was really the last time we saw her laughing at some goofy thing the doctor did, and then she just doesn't show up the next episode, and we're being told by the brigadier that she just went back to Cambridge. And then we got Joe Grant. Please tell me you at least saw this one that I sent you earlier.
No, unfortunately I did not, but it is one that I do remember.
Yeah, she decides to leave the doctor and get married. And married to Mary.
It's I respect that. Like she left on her own terms because she knew what she wanted, and she went out, and from what I understand, went and did good.
Yeah.
You know?
And so, like I said, she recently resurfaced in one of the collection trailers.
Yeah. And she came back in like the Sarah Jane Adventures, didn't she?
Yeah, and the Power of the Doctor.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, if I would say it's an S tier just on the fact that good for her.
I would even put this above Susan.
100%.
The scene later where the Doctor just finishes his drink, walks outside when everybody's happy and celebrating.
Yeah.
Gets back into his car and just drives.
Yeah, it's two sides. Like they're both fantastic, but they're both great departures, I should say, but for two completely different reasons. Because one's heartbreaking, this one's like, yeah, girl, And it's the same with the next one. It's going to be the same reasoning why it would be an S tier.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think the Sarah Jane departure is as good. Because a little bit of an insight, the writers were planning on killing her in the episode. They wanted to kill Sarah Jane, and I think it was might have been Malcolm Holt. The one who was like, no, you do not kill Sarah Jane. You do not kill this character. and he wrote a other departure that
Mhm.
Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen did not like particularly. So the end result was a departure that Tom Baker and Liz Sladen sort of worked on together,
Okay.
and it was sort of kind of on the spot. That's why it feels a little bit rushed in the episode in question. But I mean, it's Sarah Jane
Yeah,
speaking.
exactly. And that's and the way it happened is like for me why it's S tier. Basically, he just leaves her, just
Yeah,
drops
because
her
he got
off, and then of course you find out years later, or I don't know if it's immediately after, like, but I don't remember that part, but to find out it was not where she lived. It was
at
South
all,
Korean.
at all. You actually find that out in the same episode, but in school reunion, you finally learn where he dropped
Yeah,
her off.
yeah. I wasn't it Croydon or something like that.
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, right? And yeah,
Yeah,
Aberdeen, which was supposed to
he
be
needed to
Croydon.
get to Croydon, but
Yeah.
he dropped her off in Aberdeen.
No, so for me personally, just because of the story of itself, I understand it like that's from Rush and all that stuff, but it's still heartbreaking.
Yeah,
And especially when you get a return like School Reunion, which, as you know, is one of my favorite episodes of all time from this
yeah,
show.
me
Um,
too.
and to hear her like give the doctor shit, and it really helps this departure for sure.
Yeah, so in my opinion, this is somewhere between Joe and Susan.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I think it's good there.
good. Now I'm gonna ask this again. Did
This
you see
one I
this?
watched. This
Ah,
one I watched.
finally, thank you,
Yeah, this
thank
one I
you.
watched.
Yeah,
It's oh my god. It's both. It's this is a weird one because it's a combination of good for you and heartbreaking at the same time. You know what I mean? Because she decides to leave, and become happy.
for love.
Where and then but then heartbreaking because you see the doctor inside where it's like very I'm gonna miss you. He says I'm gonna miss you too, right? Um, it's such a good scene, and when I laughed, like I texted you. This is why I thought you would have realized I'd watch this because I was texting you about it.
Whoa,
Like
all right.
quickly how quickly he replaced K9. I was like, really?
And this is also significant because he did not want to have K9
Yeah,
at first, and he really warmed up to him, but all over the course of the season, to the
yeah.
point where in this episode, the finale, he actually decides to get a new one.
So this is S tier for me, and this is right now number one.
Really,
Yeah, I do. Just I don't know, just because it's you get both best of both worlds for you want for a departure. You get the sadness of the doctor, but you also get the companion's going to go and live a good life.
knowing
That's
what
just
I know
that's just
about,
me though, because I don't know everything leading up to this. I'm just going based on what I watched.
yeah, but
And
still,
knowing how important she is to the doctor and stuff like that, what I do know. So that's what I'm basing it on.
okay. I mean that's okay, but like knowing what I know from Big Finish, she does not have a very good life after that.
Okay, and that's
But
fair. Like that's fair. So again, I will defer to you when it comes to these ones, but
to
that's just
me,
based on the scene. I think it's the best departure scene that I have seen so far out of the ones we've done.
the one with Joe Grant
Okay.
still stands out because of that scene of the doctor going outside
And I'm okay with that because no, I mean I'm cool. It's right up near the top, so that's fine by me.
yeah, and now we move on to another person who left with K9, the noblest Romana of them all. Obviously, we're not counting the other Romana because it was not really a departure; it was more of a generation and kind of off screen. So,
Yeah.
did you
It's
watch
gonna be
this one?
lower. No, it's gonna be lower.
Well, basically, it's just after the another 4-part adventure, the Romana just goes, "I'm not coming with you. I'm staying." And the doctor's like, "Wait, here, take K9 with you."
Mm.
And so they go off and decide to stay in East Space to try and help free the Tharils who have been enslaved
Mm-hmm.
all over the different planets and used as essential unwilling pilots.
Yeah. So for me, it feels like it's gonna be a lower one. So again, I'm deferring to you.
Oh, It's not an S tier. I would go so far as to say lower of the A, maybe even.
Okay.
See, this is why I wanted you to watch them, is because I
Well,
didn't have to.
I do have an idea. How about you don't send it to me a couple hours before the show while I'm at work?
Honestly, I wasn't planning on even sending you them at all.
Yeah,
That was like a last minute idea that I had.
Last night I had all night to I would have been able to watch all of them.
Yeah, blunder on my part.
Yeah,
but what are you
so I did watch a decent amount, and like I said, I had seen the new the Who Culture one, and of course, majority of the new Who stuff I have seen, and I do have love. So, yeah. So at least we're lucky that way. I do know some, but I unfortunately I do not have much time, so we do have to rush.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So at least.
So this one I'm very familiar with.
Right.
This one I'm very familiar with. S tier.
That is S tier for you, do you think?
I do, because there's something. You know what? It reminds me of the end of Jason Todd in the comic books originally, even though we know he comes back, but it's very similar. It's just like, to me, it's like a character that is very divisive. Some people hate, and most people
hate.
Okay, well, a lot of people hate. Like, a lot of people hated Jason Todd at the time. And then they, killed his death is incredibly memorable, to the point that even people who may not have seen old Who still know about Adric.
I mean, he was mentioned in Power of the Doctor.
Exactly, like it is an important death in the show.
Well, if you want to say S tier, then I'm going to say bottom S. That's because fine.
But I do
it's a death that could have been avoided if he hadn't tried to prove he was right and stay behind on a spaceship that's about to blow up anyway.
Right, but that's what makes it more heartbreaking. Is this is the moment he fails, unfortunately, right?
Well, he failed a lot, but that was his.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the moment where it really caught up with him.
Yeah. His need to prove himself finally caught up.
Exactly, and like I said, it's still one that people do know about. It's one of the memorable ones.
Something that, in my opinion, isn't very memorable is Nissa.
Yeah, I did watch this one because this is the one where I thought it was the same as Turlo, and I was like, yeah, okay. I don't get what's going on.
Yeah, she basically just on a whim. Throughout the episode, she started having these psychic attacks and psychic visions. For some reason, she decided to take all her clothes off, which did not work for me at all. Like I don't know. I love this character. This episode kind of ruins it for me, and then it decided on a whim to leave.
Like I said, this was one that sounds like it seems like it would have been rushed. It's just like, what's going on? So for me, I'm okay with one of the bottom two tiers.
Me too, and I would even go so far as to say here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That works for me. I'm fine with it, and it stopped being fun because it's a name I know, but I mean, what?
And now we also have this, which the next season, I believe, but this one doesn't quite feel quite as rushed. Did you watch this one, by the way?
I fortunately did not, but I know about this one.
Yeah, it's
Tegan, right?
After seeing a bunch of people die during the one of the skirmishes of the Dalek Civil War, Tegan just decided that she's done with it. She doesn't want to see people get killed anymore, so she just say goodbye to the Doctor and Turlo and walk away.
Yeah, and it's something like when she comes back, that she still feels, right? She still feels that anger.
Yeah. That anger and fear and frustration.
I'm okay with this one being Until We Meet Again.
That high?
Well, that's as high as I would go with it.
I will probably go over here. And don't forget me, because...
How about that? Instead of me, I'll say, like, instead of, for the ones I've seen, like, this is how high I am good with going on this one. And then you decide.
Okay, cool.
Yep, okay.
That'll make things easier. Now, here we get to one of the ones he's the one that I just outright forgot because of how forgettable it is. This thing.
Yeah.
Do we even want to add this guy?
Chameleon, bottom. Bottom.
Okay, cool. And we'll do that after you talk about this for a bit because I got to add the picture now. So you watched the Turlo one, right?
Yes, I did. This is from what I know about Turlo is a very he grew up and end to the character. He's accepting his fate. So I mean, this is one of those ones like good for him. So I'm comfortable with this. This one is going as high as Till We Meet Again.
I mean, you're not wrong. He does grow up.
Yeah.
Starts out a pretty terrible character.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I read. It's just like they wrote him very weird, but then they started making him, a good person. The only thing I would change those shorts.
Yeah, well, it's one of those you have to watch the episode to understand.
Yeah, it's the 80s.
No, it's the context of the episode itself.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
He was on the beach, but where did you say again?
As good as it getting as Till We Meet Again. Sorry.
You know what? Much as I don't like this character, I think the character development
really exactly that's one of the things that helps propel it so high for me. I'm just gonna quickly grab something. I'll be right back. And it's nothing to flex.
No, but the community one we said at the bottom of the bottom, or the top of the bottom. Well,
sorry, I was just getting a little hungry, so I just wanted to go grab some crackers.
Yeah, and then, so while you were away, I put Chameleon at the top of the Sia because at least this one didn't feel rushed.
Yeah,
at least this one had a. Oops, I forgot to put the picture down. But yeah, this one didn't feel rushed. They had a proper storyline.
Yeah. All right, let's do the next one.
And the next one is this right here from Melanie, which did you see this one? Because I
just realized where's Perry.
Well, you're right. You're right because this is one of the ones I was contemplating on whether or not I should.
Gotcha.
Here
okay.
Because, so, do you want to talk about Perry for a little bit?
Do I want to what?
Do you want to talk about the Perry departure for a little bit?
Not really. I don't have the time, unfortunately.
But do you at least think that she should be on this list?
If it was her final, like she comes back in later on, right?
Yeah, but I mean, her departure in and of itself is pretty messy because she's believed to have been killed, and then later in the season, it's revealed that she actually survived and married Brian Blessed's character.
Okay.
And then later in Big Finish, it's like.
Then if that's the case, then it actually shouldn't even be on here because it's a false finish.
Yeah, because that's why I contemplated whether I should put it on the list or
not. Yeah, okay, that's good. Now that I hear the reason why you think it shouldn't be, I agree with you. It's a false finish.
Yeah. And for Melanie, basically, it's been a while since I've seen the episode. But basically, she decides to stay behind in like the year 2 billion something, and travel with this guy standing right next to her, an Ace, Sabalom Glitz. Try to help make him better, make him turn away from a life of crime. And it's later revealed in Big Finish lore that he actually corrupted her a little bit. She actually became sort of a criminal herself.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it's another pretty messy. Like, the character storyline is messy, but the departure scene itself is pretty cool.
This is one is like a meh.
All right, this is a meh for you.
Yeah, it's a me.
So where is it?
It's the second one right next to Jodie.
There we go.
I forgot her name.
Yeah, I'll say that it's the scene between her and Sylvester stops it from being an F tier. And now we're gonna wrap this up pretty quickly because we're finally on to the ones you know. Chung Lee from the TV movie. Not really much of a departure. It's just he just goes off, and the doctor says that he can keep those bags of gold dust.
Yeah, this is the second of the last one for me. It's just I like the character in the movie. It's just okay. That's a weird way to bye, you know.
And some would even argue that he's not even a companion at all.
Right.
But I think bottom of the C tier is pretty good. How about Grace?
I would put it in the middle tier.
Yeah, finally we can breeze through these because I don't have to explain them.
Yeah, it's a very sweet moment. And it's also I find her more memorable than the other guy. So,
I agree. Put it right here in the middle.
Yeah. Fun fact: that movie was filmed in Vancouver.
Fun fact: you already said that 50 times.
Fun fact: I'm stoned. I didn't know.
Fun fact: this guy's an idiot.
Yes. This is fun. Okay, this is the one I had the supplementary content for. If you want to take the picture down. So
I know where you're going with this.
Prisoners of Time. Turns out he is the villain working with the original master. This is one of the covers.
One of the masters.
Yeah, one of the original masters. So I thought that was cool that he did come back. I think that is more.
That's more memorable than his character on the show.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I would put it in and stop being fun because of how what he's left with the device. But I hate the character, so I'm gonna.
I think he deserves. He doesn't even deserve to be this high. Like seriously, come on.
Yeah, see you then.
We literally named this tier after him.
He's a shithead, so yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, shithead. When his brain opens up, you can see all the shit inside his head.
Now we're getting into some S tiers. Let's go.
Are you sure that Mickey was an S tier?
Okay, I forgot about this one first.
I'd say it's an A or high B.
I'm good with a lower A, just because it's I don't know, the character is kind of meh.
Yeah. But as I discussed with Ryan a couple of episodes ago, this episode is where he really shines and really grows into his own character. So I would even put him above.
Because he goes out like a boss, but I mean, like overall, the character is just like, he's such a weird, dumb character to give it first. But that's just me.
All right.
I think he does.
And is smiling from up above about this comment, but I would say either above or below Romana. But now
I'm good with that. I'm good with it in that area too.
Now we're on to easily one of the S tiers.
Above, this is above Joe Grant for me, personally.
As much as I love the departure, and in recent years, my opinion on this character has changed a lot, I cannot deny the impact that this had on the fandom, on the Doctor, on the storyline. Like, it's kind of have to be on the edge.
It's one of the reasons why the show has continued to be kept going, right? But
yeah.
All right.
Now, do we even want to include this moment from Captain Jack, because he didn't actually have a departure from the 9th? That was I think this was more of a definitive.
I wouldn't personally. This is a tough one because I don't consider this part of him. I don't know. It's tough because I wouldn't include it just because it's so hard.
It is, but it's kind of a departure. So where would you want to put this thing?
Because it's Captain Jack, I would put it in an A. B. Sorry, B.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm right next to Tegan.
Mm-hmm. All right.
In the same episode, though, we get Martha.
This is an S tier because good for her.
Yeah, you go, girl. You go, girl.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Much better character than Rose. I'm not ready to say that it was a better departure than Rose, though.
No, I agree with you. It's up there, but yeah, so far Rose is number 1.
Yeah, it doesn't pull your heart out of your chest like the Rose one does. And you know what? I would say put it over here.
But there's going to be one that's going to dethrone number 1 pretty quick.
Pretty quick. But are you referring to River Song's death in the library?
No, because we got way more of her afterwards. So while it's a great death, I would put it in.
It's a scene in Doctor Who that got better and more emotional the more time went on, and you go back and revisit it.
That's why I That's why it's as good for me. I would only put it in the A tier because of that. Because we do get a lot more. Like if we're looking at the episode itself, at that time, trying to go in that mindset, it's just like okay, whatever. But knowing what we know now, yeah, I'm good with it. Putting like for me right about at right below Jamie.
I would even go so far as to say it's above Jamie.
Okay, I
Because
was
it's
thinking that,
Doctor's
but
wife.
I was thinking that, but it's because it was Jamie. I wasn't sure, so I'm good with it there.
Okay, now, I mean, now that we get to the part where I'm actually a little bit glad that Raiko isn't here, because he does not like Donna.
Number
at
one.
all.
Number one.
Like, how do you top this
Right.
as a departure? Like, seriously, like, and it the sad memes that it gave us, and it's the departure none of us want to have, none of us want to experience, right?
100%. So yeah, no, it'd be everything, the context, and then the scenes afterward with the doctor, and like, yeah, it's heartbreaking because she reverts back to who she was, and who she wasn't originally a good person.
Yeah. And I mean, let's just keep the tiers rolling with the Pons.
S tier. I would put this though below Rose, right directly below Rose. This is like number 3 for me.
Now, here's my problem with it, and I'm going to put this in the middle.
Oh,
and I'll say why. Because I am not a fan of the Stephen Moffat feeling he needs to drag the departures. Like half of the episode is devoted just to the departure. They with them standing on the edge, then them jumping and falling, and then the timeline gets reversed, and then the angel comes, and then he takes Amy as well, and then the doctor reads the book. Like the amount of time devoted to just that.
You're right.
Let's be fair here. Let's be real here. Not the best episode. Not a very good episode.
Right, but goddamn, the moment rock. That's why, for me personally, it's number 3. But if you want to, I'm fine with it wherever you think it is.
It is an S tier. It is definitely an S tier for me. I'm not a fan of how it's dragged on throughout the entire episode.
If you have brought it down to Till We Meet Again, then we would have had an issue.
If what? Sorry?
If you'd have brought it down to Till We Meet Again, we would have had an issue.
No. This, like I said, this is an S tier for all the elements. It's just we didn't need it's basically 3 departures in one for the same 2 characters.
All right.
And yeah, and speaking of dragging out the departure, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this now. Now we move on to the next.
That one I'm okay with because I am very well aware of it, and I do agree it's a freaking drawn out one. So fine.
And again, it's just you kill her off in one episode, bring her back in the next, and
while I do like how she ended up, like she does get to do her own thing like that. It's just like, god damn it, just ended already. All right.
Yeah. But are you fine with her being at the bottom of the S of the F?
If that's what you feel about it, sure. But I do agree it's in the F.
I mean, I did it for the joke, but I'm legit asking you, what do you think?
No, actually, personally, I would put her at the top because I do think I do personally like the character, but I do agree they should have ended it before they ended up doing it.
Yeah, it's once again the Stephen Moffat not liking endings.
Yeah,
but now they were on Clara. By the way, this is another one of the characters that I was considering not putting on here. Danny Pink. Should we include?
No, he's not a companion.
Yeah, that's one but he does have it's not a companion, but he definitely has a departure and a death scene.
Agree. It's one of the better ones, but he's not to me, you have to have traveled with the doctor properly to have been a companion.
Yeah, that's why I was on the fence about this guy.
No Danny Pink.
No Danny Pink. No. And now we're on to the character that appears twice, River Song.
Yes. Now this departure.
You not put her twice on this list, right?
Agreed. Now this departure is S tier. The episode is one of the best episodes.
A lot of the people I know said that this was where the show should have ended. This episode.
That's a weird thing to say, but
no, but I mean, it wraps up these two characters perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously. So I can see that, but I'm glad that it didn't.
Mm. All right.
I would even say above her parents because it
Agreed.
wasn't as
Agreed.
dragged out. And again, you get the whole 24 years, whatever. Let them spend 24
Agreed.
years together. But
All right.
it wasn't as dragged out as the other pawns. Now, I think this should count. I'm not sure if you think it should count, but Missy. What are we saying about Missy?
Yeah, I would say so because she went on some adventures with the Doctor. I would say so.
Right, first of all, let's NFL in the room here. It is the Master, right? So, and she didn't actually legitimately traveled with the Doctor in this season.
Exactly. That's why I do consider her a companion.
Right. So about the departure, literally shot in the back by her past self.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we think about? First of all, it's a great image right here, and love the character, love the death scene.
I would go A tier.
I agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. Now I would defer to you on the placement.
I guess because we got to spend more time with her during the episode in question, it should be above River Song.
Okay.
Now, in the same episode, we somehow get two more departures, starting, of course, with Nardole.
I love me some Nardole.
I love Nardole.
Yeah.
I wish they did more with his character, though.
Yeah,
especially, I still think to this day that Peter Capaldi deserved one more season, at least. Him and Nardole and Bill. One more season would have wrapped up so much for these characters.
Agreed.
And would have developed Nardole's character even more so that his departure, keep the whole episode the same, just keep this. It would have added so much to his backstory that we never got to see.
That's why for me it's B tier. Like, I mean, it's damn it.
It's a great character, but very middle of the road.
Agreed.
So I'd say here.
Yeah.
And again, in the same episode, Bill.
Okay, now this is either low S or high A for me, depending on how you feel about it.
Really? Low S?
Wow.
Explain yourself, sir.
Because of what you said, you should have gotten more time with her.
Yeah, that's why I don't think S is a good placement for this.
Okay, that's why I said I would defer to you, but that's my feeling on it. But I'm good with that. I'm good with A.
Because again, it wraps up her arc with Heather, who appears in this episode as well. But
it's a clunky. It was a clunky way to get there. That's for damn sure.
Clunky like a Mondasian Cyberman.
Yeah.
I'd say it's the middle of the A tier.
All right.
Now we're on to the Jodie Whittaker departures. Have you seen this one that I sent you earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what I like about this one though is that these two characters end up exactly in the same place where we saw them for the first time when they were introduced, just without Grace, and as well as just they settled their differences and now they're family now. They actually legitimately want to be together.
A.
That's A. Okay.
I'm using my arms.
Okay, I think maybe A.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. A.
But where on the A?
Again, I would defer to you, but I would personally, I would put it actually between Jamie and Victoria.
Okay.
Because of the progression of their two characters, because of how they started versus how they ended.
Yeah, I can see that. And now we're on to one of the more unique ones. First time a companion leaves at the beginning of an episode with Dan.
This was weird.
But it was set up before the opening credits played, and it's understandable, and it makes his sort of return at the end of the episode even more impactful.
Agreed.
I'm glad that they did that he got it out of the way before
Yeah.
all the crazy stuff started.
A
So
tier.
he wrapped up his character by the end.
A tier.
Yeah, I don't know if I will go that high, but I'd say the top of the B.
Okay. I'll give it that because it's a myth character for me.
Oh, I love this character.
Oh,
And I know you didn't watch the Flux season. I love Dan personally,
I'll get there.
but something that I do believe, a character that I do believe you're more familiar with, Yaz.
This is an S tier because goddamn, this was one of the best moments of this episode. Amen, S tier, because also you know the relationship between them. Like this is literally the only companion that I know of that began, if I'm not mistaken, began and ended with the same doctor.
Yes,
same episode.
The only companion that traveled with the same doctor for their entire run across all media.
I would put this personally. I would put this in number 3 in this ranking.
I personally would put it between Susan and Sarah Jane for the simple reason that their moment together and confessing their love for each other, that should have happened before the final episode.
Okay.
Like, it only was introduced in Jodie's final season, and we only got confirmation of it towards the penultimate, and then a final proper acknowledgement in the finale episode. So
all right, cool.
If that's the direction that Chibnall was going with, he should have started this off way before that. Mm-hmm. But that's just me personally.
But that's okay with that reasoning. I'm perfectly fine with it. Because like I said, I didn't see majority of Whittaker's stuff. But just the moment itself, like, my God, it's such a great send off.
Yeah, and a great moment of her literally carrying the doctor back into the TARDIS.
Like this was the moment that made that when I watch it's like, okay, this helped me push me towards watching the stuff I haven't seen. So this was the moment.
Cool. And this is our list.
Yeah, it's a pretty good list.
So are you still dead set on the ones we didn't include here?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. So I know you got to get going, so why don't you wrap this up and leave, and then I'll do my outro.
Got it. Sorry, just getting out of full screen.
Yeah, you have another stream to get to, but that is a story for another time. There we go. I got to do it.
There you go. Nice. Great way to edit. All right, man. See you. Talk to you in a bit. Personally, we'll talk to you in a bit, and I'll see you.
You don't want to do the plugs, or should I do that?
Okay. Well, you can see me on 59. We've got a show that we're going to be debuting soon. I'll let him talk about that. But you can also find me every Friday night at 8:30 Pacific on the Blokes of Wrestling over the Let's Get Ready Network, talking about everything in professional wrestling during the week. So, all right. I'll see you later, man.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. And as he already mentioned, we are having a new show that we're planning to debut from your point of view later this week, I believe, when this episode comes out. But we'll talk more about that once we actually know when and if we're going to probably debut that episode. But as for me, you can find me on my own YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Geek, where I do weekly reviews of every single Doctor Who episode from 1963 all the way to 2022. And I believe I'm about done with season 2, or maybe I have 1 or 2 episodes still left that I have to upload. But I'll get to that when I get to that. I just uploaded recently a very special video that I wanted to do to honor our good friend Ben. So go ahead and check that out on my channel as well. And I believe no, actually that's way too early to say that. So as far as other shows on this channel, I don't know if a lot of the other shows we used to have on this channel are still going, but I do know that Have You Seen This with Daniel and Snark and Dave is still going on. And you can also check out any of the other channels from the Benverse that we are now all doing together. There's myself, obviously, Midnight Cinema, this channel as well, Multiverse of Geekdom, Something to Talk About, Movie Lovers Unite, and A-Town reviews. We do all kinds of stuff together in the loving memory of our good friend Ben, to keep his vision for doing shows like this alive, in a sense. In any case, I believe that I've already talked way longer than I should, and I probably should get myself to sleep before I literally fall asleep during the recording of this episode, and this episode might go on until tomorrow. So thank you all for watching. Let us know what is your favorite companion departure, and should we have at least considered some other ones that we mentioned but decided not to put on the list. That is all the time we have for today, and so thank you, and goodbye.